As Flint City Administrator, Greg Eason is a busy man and a man who wields a great deal of decision-making power within the walls of City Hall. He is the mayor's point person in dealings with City Council. Most department heads answer to him. He's the mayor's chief of staff. Now, on the outside, many say he presents as a knowledgeable, soft-spoken, self-controlled administrator.
I was afraid of him. I was terrified, and I went to the director.
But a former city employee who asked that we not identify her says what many see on the outside is not always what's going on the inside of City Hall. She says she retired last year because of what she called health-threatening stress at the hands of the city administrator.
All of us were subjected to escalating bullying at staff meetings. I was forbidden from talking to my coworkers. I was insulted. I was accused of leaking information falsely. I was demeaned, humiliated.
We caught up with 3 of her former workmates and their attorney one evening when they were scheduled to testify at a civil service hearing against Eason. The hearing was called to consider complaints that Eason violated the merit principles of the city when he brought in 2 of his past associates as supervisors in the Economic Development Department.
And the reason the merit principle exists is so you can't take individuals who have been working at the city and just move them all out to bring in your own friends.
The employees claim as soon as Eason heard charges were filed against him at the Civil Service Commission level, abuse and retaliation began and anger toward them peaked.
He stripped us of our supervisory ability or authority and handed that over to people who had normally worked under us. Told us we weren't intelligent. And he continued to say, I know who you are. I will hunt you down. I will fire you.
By May of 2010, they claim Eason's behavior toward them was so intense, they filed a violence in the workplace complaint with the city attorney's office, saying they no longer wanted to be, quote, victims of abuse. We have obtained a copy of that complaint in which the employees detailed what they call his intimidating behavior. They say they suffered verbal abuse and retaliation from Eason, that they feared him, that he was angry and yelled and screamed. They claim they suffered continual verbal abuse, ridicule, verbal assaults, and intimidation, and that he often threatened them with loss of their jobs if private information was shared with anyone.
He would say, I will hunt you down. And he continued to say it.
At this point, I choose not to respond because it is in litigation. My name is personally used in a lawsuit, as well as the city of Flint. So at this point, I decline to make any further comments.
But these documents show Eason had a great deal of comment during his testimony in a city attorney investigation on the employee charges. In the documents, he denied screaming and hollering. He also suggested most of his actions could be explained as trying to root out problems in the Economic Development Department where these employees worked. He said the problems led to more than $1 million in disallowed costs from HUD and hundreds of thousands of ineligible costs having to be returned to the federal government.
The allegations that were made against me are totally untrue and unfounded.
Among the allegations Eason claims are unfounded include these charges in a whistleblower lawsuit filed over a year ago. In the suit, one of the 4 economic development employees claims she was given a 28-day unpaid suspension for a variety of reasons, including having told the Department of Energy about management irregularities in a $1 million energy grant.
That is totally untrue. There are no connections between her suspension and the energy grant whatsoever.
But what were these management irregularities alluded to in the whistleblower lawsuit? Until now, there has not been any public record of what was included. But we have uncovered documents which indicate the employees were concerned about serious fraud with that energy grant, charges that they sent in a letter to the city attorney's office a full year before the FBI moved in to investigate. In our next report, we take a look at why the employees suggested that City Administrator Greg Eason be investigated in relation to that grant, and we will also hear why Eason is now saying these same women could be the target of a federal investigation.